Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today is BookList Thursday. This is a video series I do with my friend Lindsay over at Lindsay's Little Library. And every Thursday we bring you some sort of list or topic that we feel like talking about for the week. And for this week, we want to talk about some series. Now, this is a time when, many of us are stuck at home and we're starting to look at our bookshelves and say, I just want to get into a good series and kind of get lost in something that's going to take me on a journey, or it's going to, I'm going to be with these characters for a few books. And so we wanted to share some of our favorites with you. And these are books that we would recommend that are good series to kind of take you away from everything right now. So if you want to get into a good series, here are some of my recommendations. I'm actually going to start with a couple of middle grade series because middle grade definitely has, the magical elements to them. So it definitely takes you away from everything and takes you to a whole new world. They are also very easy to read and you can kind of fly through them because they're middle grade and they're incredibly entertaining. So I have been loving me some middle grade lately. And I will always and forever recommend Harry Potter if you have not read them yet. Or if you have, give them a reread. I love rereading Harry Potter. I'm currently reading book number 5 with my daughter, Caitlin. It's her first time reading it, my second, and it's amazing. Now, also, the first book for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, is actually being made available through the library system, I believe through Overdrive, or is it Overdrive or is it Libby? Whichever one your library system uses, either Overdrive or Libby. And there's no wait lists. They've made it completely available. If you want it, you can get it right away. And it's the audiobook for it. And it's the audiobook that is read by Stephen Fry. There's 2 different versions. There's a Stephen Fry one and there's a Jim Dale one. Me and my daughter are listening to the Jim Dale ones because we have them through Audible, so we already have those. But Stephen Fry is also a fantastic narrator. So definitely, if you've thought about maybe giving Harry Potter a try on audio, I would definitely suggest that. And you can do that through your library systems, Overdrive or Libby or whatever it is that your library uses. But that's something that they have made available, the first book, for everybody. So fun little tip there. But Harry Potter, you guys know my love of Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter so much. It's my favorite book and series of all time. So if you haven't read Harry Potter, obviously it will always and forever be my number 1 suggestion. Another middle grade series I would highly suggest is the Land of Stories series by Chris Colfer. This is book number 1, and this is The Wishing Spell. Now, this is a completed series, so it has a finish. There are 6 books in the series total. I have read the first 2 and really enjoyed them. I have number 3 sitting in my room waiting to be picked up. I haven't picked it up yet, but I really, really want to. My daughter has read all 6 of these books, and she absolutely loved them. So this follows a set of twins, and they have discovered that they can actually be transformed into a book, like a fairy tale book that their father used to read to them. And they can actually go into this book. They accidentally fall in one day, and they are transported to the Land of Stories. And it is following fairy tale characters that we know, and they all live in this land, and things are not quite going as the fairy tales say they're going. And there's actually a lot of danger in this world. And they're meeting all these characters that we ourselves are familiar with. There's Cinderella, there's Little Red Riding Hood, there's Mother Goose, Rapunzel, like all of these fairy tale characters are in here, and they are all living together, and it's a whole world. And the twins discover that things are not as they seem, and they have to go on some different adventures to try to help out these characters, and they become part of their land, basically. And it's fantastic. I really enjoyed the first book here, and then the second book has Maleficent in it, which is really good. And so this is a fantastic book and a book series. And if you definitely have kids who like the fairy tales and stuff and they're middle grade readers, this is great. Highly recommend. Okay, let's get into a young adult series, and this one is completed as well. It's a trilogy. I have only read the first book. I cannot wait to read the other 2. They're on my shelves, but that is Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and this is a young adult book, like I said, and it follows a futuristic world. It's today's world, but in the future, and society has figured out how to do away with death. There's no sicknesses, there's no pandemics. You can't die from getting into a car crash. You basically can't die on your own. Society has figured out how to prevent that from happening. Now, because of that, there's no population control. And if you don't have population control or a natural type of thing, then the world is going to fall apart because humans are just going to take it over and there's not going to be enough resources for everybody. So because of that, they had to come up with a system which they have called scythes, and they are in charge of deciding who among the population is going to be killed, and they have to do it. And we end up following 2 teenagers who become an apprentice to a scythe. So they are learning what goes into it. They're learning how political it is. They're learning how the scythes make their decisions, how they do it. It's a whole thing. It's fantastic. I loved this book so much. It was one of my favorites of last year. I cannot wait to read the other 2. I actually can't believe I haven't picked up the second book yet. But it's a trilogy, so there's only 3 books, and I flew through this one so quickly I could not put it down, and I predict the other 2 will be the same. So if you want to get lost into a good trilogy, it's not super long, but it'll keep you entertained for a little bit. Definitely recommend this one. Another young adult series I would recommend. This is something that I have read the entire thing, and it was definitely just kind of a fun, guilty pleasure type of read, and I flew through them so quickly, and that is the Selection series by Kira Cass. My tip on this, okay, there's a total of 5 books. There's a main trilogy, so the first 3 books, and then there are 2 other books that happen in the same world and in the same family, but it's years later and follows a different character. Skip those 2. Don't bother. They're really not important, and I didn't actually really enjoy them all that much. The main trilogy, though, the first 3 books, solid. Loved them. Flew through them. Could not put them down. So this is a dystopian book, and the way that this world works is that there are different is it a caste system, I guess you could say, but they're like by numbers, almost kind of like the Hunger Games where there's different districts, there's different areas, and they're numbered, and whichever area you live in kind of determines your class status, I guess you could say. And there is a royal family. This royal family has a teenage son, and it is time for him to pick a wife and for him to get married. And they decide to do this by creating something called the Selection. And the Selection is taking select women from the different districts, and then they all move into the castle, and it becomes a competition. And it's kind of very much The Bachelor. Basically, it's The Bachelor in a dystopian world. So these women come in, they move into the castle, they have to meet the prince and form a relationship with him, and in the end, he ends up picking somebody to marry. It was so good. Like, it really actually took me by surprise how much I enjoyed this book, or the series. I just couldn't put it down. They are very fast. They're fun. There's much more to it than this romance. It's much more complicated than I thought it was going to be going into it. There's some political stuff happening. There is the dangers of a wartime situation happening at the same time. And of course, the whole time this whole thing is being televised. It was fantastic. So I really enjoyed it. That's definitely something that will just kind of take you out of everything and get your mind off of things. And it's just fun. It was a fun read. Another fun fact about this series is that it has just been announced that this is going to be adapted by Netflix. I don't know if it's going to be a series or if it's going to be a movie. I'm not sure how they're going to do it yet, but it was just announced that Netflix is adapting this series. So if you want to get a head start and read it before the Netflix thing comes out, now would be a good time. And now for an adult series that I would recommend, I highly recommend the Unsub series by Meg Gardner. This is an adult FBI detective series. There are 3 books currently out, and the first one is called Unsub, and each book follows an FBI agent who tracks serial killers. That's her job. And the serial killers that are in the books are based on real serial killers from like real people. So for example, the first book was based on the Zodiac killer, and you could see the similarities in the fact that he was taunting the police and that they had a really hard time finding him. He eluded people for years and years and years. He disappeared for a while and then made a comeback. And on his comeback, you see our main character trying to hunt him down. Oh, it was so good. And, you know, it definitely will take you on a journey for, you know, through the FBI's eyes, trying to find this guy, and you see their frustrations in not being able to capture him and trying to figure out who he is, and all the while he's killing people. It is brutal, so there is very descriptive scenes of the crime scenes and things like that, so be prepared for that. But I think, you know, if you can handle like detective series that, you know, will describe a crime scene, you can handle this. It was fantastic. I flew through the first one. I absolutely loved it. Really liked the second one as well. The second one is based on Ted Bundy. The killer is kind of out there and not afraid of people. He's very charming. He's very sociable, kind of like no one really would suspect him type thing. And then the third book I haven't read yet, so I don't know who it's based on. I'm thinking it might be kind of a Richard Ramirez type thing, but I haven't read it yet. So I do have it on my Kindle waiting for me to read, but I highly, highly recommend this series, especially if you like detective type books and you haven't read this one yet. Highly recommend, and it is adult. Okay guys, so those are some of the series that I would recommend getting into during this time, and most of them are finished series. The only one that isn't is Unsub, but the third one did just get released a couple of months ago. So, but still there's 3 books to keep you entertained for a little bit. So let me know down below what some of your all-time favorite series are, and then if anyone wants to see maybe some more suggestions in the comments, that would be fantastic. So let me know what your favorite series are and what you would suggest, you know, during this time when we're all kind of quarantined at home. Let me know what series you have sitting on your shelves that you haven't touched yet, that you're thinking about picking up, and I can give you some feedback on some of those if I've read them. And make sure you go check out Lindsay's video today too. She's going to be suggesting some series, so I'm really excited to see what she's going to be recommending. And I hope you guys are all safe and well, and we will see you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.